Hello, my friends, and welcome to Vlogmas Day 23. I am going to show you our tamale supper. Now, many of you back east might not be familiar with what tamales are. I wasn't aware of them. Of course, I was younger too when we lived back east, but they're a traditional Mexican dish at Christmas time. Well, all year round, but a lot of people will have big soup pots full of delicious tamales. Now, I have them in the kitchen, and when I go in there and start preparing them for supper, I will show you what they're wrapped in, what they're made of, and how we like to eat them. Well, as you can see, my Christmas sweater is basically a nice white cozy warm turtleneck with a decal that I've had for probably 20 or 30 years. I keep popping it on outfits, and today it is accompanied by a little baby tree as well. And I'm so treed out right now, I even have my tree earrings on. I mean, after all, it's Christmas, and we can dress like this, right? Well, what I've been doing today, my morning was mostly showing Moosey how he could help. And as usual, he's been a trooper. Today he was wrapping, and I went out in my tubs. I had forgotten to buy tags, but I went out in one of my trusty yellow tubs, and sure enough, left over from last year, we found some more bags and a whole load of tags, so we could just stick these on. And we've put everything pretty much in bags, but we have wrapped a very special personal children's gift. He has a stack, 6 of these off to our 6 children. Very special personalized gifts, and you are putting the name tag on. Are you up for this?
Huh? Of course. I'm up for all of it.
Good boy.
I'm all over this job.
Yeah, I know you are doing a great job.
Yeah, well, I can be bribed too. Are we having some tamales for dinner?
Yes, we are. Tamales and Mexican rice. You might have seen me wrapping some of these in wrapping paper on the bed, but I don't want to give it away because several of the children do watch these videos daily, so I might show you that after Christmas. The other thing I did was Moosey has requests by several of the families to read the night before Christmas. It's a tradition that he has done since our children were little, and it continued on reading to all the grandchildren. One year we were all up in Big Bear for Christmas, and maybe I can find this wonderful picture of Moosey there with about 10 or 12 grandchildren all around him, and he was reading the night before Christmas. He did it in Ireland when the whole family was over there. Just, we have wonderful memories of Moosey reading. Well, he said, look in the bookcase, in the children's bookcase, and see if you can find the book that I read from. Well, one year we did give all the families a beautiful Christmas book that Hallmark was selling at the time, the store Hallmark. And it was The Night Before Christmas, where it had a microphone in there, and you could record your voice built into this book as you turn the pages. And Moose read The Night Before Christmas. We recorded it, and then you pull the plug so no one erases it by mistake. And as you turn each page, it tells the story as the page and the picture shows. It's a wonderful thing, and many of the children, if they're not with us on Christmas Eve, the families will let the children read this, and they will hear Moosey's voice. It's really wonderful. Many nights when Colleen's kids, even when they're 17, 18, 19, they have to come down on Christmas Eve, hop in the bed with all of us, and Moosey reads The Night Before Christmas, even to the big ones. I don't think they could get by Christmas without that. So I did find some books, and I did find one big one. This is just in case Dubby doesn't have one. I think we might have used Colleen's last year, but I do have a wonderful big book of The Night Before Christmas, and pretty pictures, and the kids love to see, especially the little ones. Pretty good pictures in here. They're beautiful, really. So he might use this one. It's kind of a big book to hold, but we have that one. And while I was rooting, I found so many other wonderful books that we've read to the kids. This one is called A Letter to Santa Claus. Putting a light on here because it's getting dark again. This one's cute. And then, of course, I have several of the birth of Jesus, books about Bethlehem and how the wise men followed the star, and just the Nutcracker and the 12 Days of Christmas, Christmas carols. I think I had hundreds and hundreds of children's books. Of course, I was a teacher and had loads of those, and I dispersed them to a lot of the kids, but I still keep my books here, so when the grandkids are here, they can go through everything and read them. There's even a tiny one that's called The Smallest Elf Big Surprise. And the little babies love to go through these little books because they're cardboard pages too. They're wonderful. But I thought it might be nice if anyone would like to hear the story of Bethlehem. I love this one, and I love the pictures in this book, all about Mary and Joseph's journey to Bethlehem. Really a wonderful one. I might read this on my last Vlogmas, day number 25. Would you like that? Maybe I'll do that. And a story a day till Christmas. And books are wonderful. You know, with so many techie things, I really wonder how many children love books the way we did. I don't know. I hope books don't die out. Now, Patrick. I have a feeling poor Patrick is getting a little maudlin, a little sad about the fact that pretty soon he might have to leave us. And I see him right over here. Our Christmas tree is 3 feet from my shoulder, and he is sitting right here staring at me, almost as if he wants to be in this little video. Let me see if I can turn the camera and show you. Can you see him there? Can you see him sitting on the tree right there? Yes, there he is. He has a big smile on his face, and he's just listening to my every word as I speak. So I think I'm going to let him stay there. He's just enjoying the last couple of days of Vlogmas. Now, my biggest chore today, it wasn't real well, it did turn into a chore at first, but then it was enjoyable. As you know, I had started the blankets for the 2 teenage boys of Matthew's, and I had sewn the actual names of the 2 NFL football teams together, and I had that. I also quilted the middle name, the Raider name and the Patriot name a little bit. It didn't puff up enough because there wasn't enough backing to it, but I think it did accentuate the name. So I had those all ready to go on those beautiful blankets. And if you go back a couple of videos, you'll see the 2 beautiful plush blankets, big twin ones that they can wrap around. Well, I started sewing the Raider blanket this morning. Sat down at my machine, and if you are a sewer, you are familiar with the trials and tribulations of a sewer. You have to be a very patient person to put up with broken needles, jammed bobbins, breaking threads, and then I bet I threaded a needle 10 times this morning. The thread kept breaking, whatever. I had all kinds of problems. The, what was that called, Moose? My first problem that I had to adjust?
Tension.
Oh, the tension. Moosey, he's pretty savvy with machines. I had to adjust the tension, which is the stitching on the top of the surface of the fabric has to match the bottom of it. So at any rate, finally I figured that out. I got all set, and I would sew about this much of the plaque onto the blanket. You know, it probably was a little too heavy, and you have to have the right thread, you have to have the right size needle, and it would sew this much and then snap or jam, or the needle would go crooked. I used up 3 needles. So I stopped and I said, okay, I'm going to have to do this by hand. So I found a needle, threaded it, knotted it, and started to do it by hand. And I sewed that much by hand and said, nope, I'm going to try again. So, you know, if it's first you don't succeed, try again. That's the name of the game. It was so difficult pushing that needle through the blanket and everything. I was hurting my fingers. I thought, no, try again. So I checked everything. I might have changed the bottom thread, the bobbin thread. Might have matched the top thread better. I don't know what I did. I also said a little prayer, and the rest of it worked fine. Finished the blanket, and we wrapped it up, rolled it up. It looked wonderful. And Moosey wrapped it. We put it in a bag, and then I remembered I should have taken a picture of it before we wrapped it.
You know, Mer, listening to your expertise on the sewing machine, I could have gotten you a job over in Clydebank, Scotland, in the Singer factory. You would have been a fine forelady.
A forelady.
Yeah, we didn't have any four men who were ladies.
Okay.
Anyway, we only made 14,000 sewing machines a week.
I know. I think I've mentioned to you that when we lived in Scotland, the reason we went over was because Moose was with the Singer Company in New York City. And he went over as a controller, I guess. That was it. Of course, he was in finance. And we spent 3 wonderful years in Scotland while he worked in Clydebank at that Singer factory, which, by the way, was in Scotland for 100 years. It was American owned, and there were probably about 6 or 7 American families over there at one time. And what a wonderful time we had. But Moosey enjoyed his days and meeting all the Scottish buddies, and he was invited very I don't think any other American was ever invited to the Robbie Burns dinner, right, Moose? That they would have every year on a famous Scottish poet on his birthday. And Moosey even recited that night, I think. But anyway, that's a non sequitur, but interesting. So I proceeded to sew the whole New England Patriots blanket without a hitch. The stitches went perfect all the way around, and it took me 1/10 of the time that it took to do the first blanket. So you know what I'll do on Christmas Day? I will take a picture of these kids wrapped up like they love to wrap themselves in these blankets, and I've sewn that the plaque in a corner of the front of the blanket, so when they wrap it around them, you should be able to see it. So it just made me mad I forgot to take the picture. So that was a biggie, and that's done and over, and I'm happy the way they turned out. And we're starting to take things out to the car because we've wrapped the little girls' name signs with the hooks on them. They're wrapped up. All the little ornaments are in little bags, and Moosey is getting ready to put name tags on there. All the 6 children's special presents are wrapped. This is the first time I think I've ever been this far ahead. Normally, I am up till 5 in the morning, Christmas Eve, especially when the children were all at home, and then getting up at 6 when they would wake up. Moosey would go to bed early. He couldn't take the stress of all the last minute wrapping and whatever. So I want to say something about the blizzards and all the snow. Maybe I did in the beginning. I can't remember, but I hope you're all staying safe and warm. And I hope that you're not really disappointed if all your travel plans might be canceled because of this. I guess this is an unusual time to have a blizzard back east. Even here on the West Coast, one of you that lives in Seattle said that you're snowed in Seattle. And I think that's kind of unusual too. So I will go into the kitchen in a little while as I start preparing supper, and I'll explain to you about Mexican tamales and show them to you, how you cook them and everything. Now, I don't make my own tamales. There were women from the church that make the tamales. There are so many people that make authentic tamales, and they sell them. And a long time ago, when we had all the children at home, we had a wonderful friend who used to come and make them in a big pot. Would take all day long, and she would make a huge big pot of tamales. Now let me tell you exactly what these are and what they're made from. I'm going to push my little cart forward so I can show you this. Now, tamales are made from a corn dough-like material that you mix and mix and mix. I think it's called masa. And then the fillings can be anything from different kinds of meats, shredded beef or chicken or veggies, and they even have sweet tamales, which are dessert tamales. The kids used to love those. She used to make those for them, and they were filled with fruits and all kinds of goodies, anything that you thought of. But you wrap these in corn husks, and this is the way you bake them, you cook them. Actually, I think Kiki used to steam them. That's how she would cook them. And these are the corn husks. You can buy these. And this is the dough, as you can see, and it's wrapped around beef. These happen to be beef inside. And it's fascinating to watch people make these, because after they make the dough, they get it to the point where it's thin enough to put the fillings in. Then they in another pot, they have to make the fillings. They are absolutely wonderful. Now, what I do with these is I put them in the micro, and I wrap them in paper towels with the corn husks still on. I wrap them up and I just warm them up because they're already cooked. So you warm them up in the micro, and you serve them with two kinds of sauces: a red sauce, a salsa, which is a tomato sauce and spicy, or a chili sauce, which is called a green sauce. I prefer both of them. I like anything spicy. And then I don't make my own Mexican rice. I cheat. Rice-A-Roni makes a great one. Rice-A-Roni makes a Mexican style rice. If you don't have a Rice-A-Roni, you can make your own. And the way I've done it is I just use white rice and then throw in a can of some spicy fire roasted tomatoes and mix them, or some tomato sauce or tomato paste, and you make a Mexican rice that way. And it's a great meal. You can eat 2 or 3 of these. Moosey likes the beef ones. I prefer the beef too. So that's what we're going to have tonight. And I have 4 of them here. Love them. So he says that's how I bribe them. So just to see it up close. I happen to have eaten all my avocados this week, but I would serve these with some avocado on the side, or guacamole, which is, of course, the avocados mixed in with some spices and various other things. So this is nice with the guacamole. A lot of times it's served with pico de gallo, which is basically a spicy red sauce. Whoops. So here's what I'll be doing. I take off the tin foil, obviously, and then just wrap these up in a paper towel. And I'll start maybe a minute, maybe 30 seconds. You want to get them nice and hot. This is easy to go the Rice-A-Roni route. I'm sure the purists make their own rice. Now you just turn the heat down and you cover it and you wait for it to cook. Now I've just taken them out of the micro, and since there's 4 of them, I cook them for 2 minutes. So they should be nice and hot. I like to just put them here and let Moosey take his own corn off. One can stay hot in the corn husk while he eats the other. This is where everybody says I tip it and spill it. You can see the rice. I'll just take one of these off to show you. They just slip right out. And look at that, beef with the masa wrapped around it, and it looks delicious. So try these. Maybe you already have. Merry Christmas. So I'll see you tomorrow, day number 23 of Vlogmas. And you'll help us do whatever's left to do tomorrow. Is tomorrow the baking day? Yes, I have to make more soufflés. I have to make some bread. So maybe we'll be in the kitchen quite a bit tomorrow. Goodbye for now. Enjoy these days. God bless you all, and I'll see you in a little while.